lived in West Philly. I'm from the part where Will Smith got spun on the guy's head.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that part was always like until like 2002.
Mm-hmm.
That was the white part of West Philly.
Mm-hmm.
My mom didn't care. She just bought a new house.
Yeah,
exactly.
Usually
It
doesn't matter
around her.
Yeah.
So then I guess I ended up talking more whiter.
Mm-hmm.
So the people from the other parts of West Philly, like the people from the hood,
Mm-hmm.
they're
Yeah.
like, why do you sound white? And I'm like, what do you mean?
This is all I know.
Yeah. It's like, I didn't think I was talking like anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just growing up talking with
yeah,
friends or
It's just
people
kind of
around
weird.
you.
It's kind of weird that happens. Like it's everywhere. It's like you could be white, you could be black, you could be Hispanic, you could be Asian, Indian. Like if you're not fitting the general stereotype of what that culture is, like you're not
Yeah.
you're not that.
Right.
You're something else, which is weird.
It's weird, but it's a thing.
Yeah.
I think we're getting better at it, but it's still a thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Facts.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on the latest episode of the Leisure Hub Podcast. We are your hosts, Justin and
Pedro.
we have a special episode today. We have our guest, Derrick, on with joining us on the latest episode. How you doing, Derrick?
I'm doing good. I'm just happy that I'm finally able to be here. I say finally, like we've been talking about it for a while.
Yeah.
But no, I say that because I enjoy your content. Like,
Thank you.
I might not speak about it much, but I did subscribe to it on Apple, like maybe before the summer even started.
Really?
Yeah, and I do listen to it. Like I was listening to it during work.
Oh, appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
And I even took some tips on how to like converse with my friends.
yeah.
That's what's up.
Yeah, we just do like we do a free form. Like I say I have ADHD. I've never been diagnosed for it. I don't know. I've been told. I don't know. But like but like I don't know. I feel like we just kind of it makes people kind of feel a little bit more at home. We kind of bring it in a little bit more organically and naturally, and we kind of shoot the shit. Just makes it
I'm
easy.
with that.
Yeah. But today, ladies and gentlemen, we have an episode that tailors more towards Derrick, right? Like I was looking through your reels and I was looking through your IG, and I was trying to come up with some ideas so I could tailor it specifically for you. And I was like, he posts a lot of like entertainment, a lot of like shows, a lot of movies and stuff like that. And I saw your not review, but like you were talking about the new Deadpool and Wolverine movie. Haven't watched it yet, but I saw it and I was like, okay, a lot of people will go into will be afraid to kind of go back and watch shows that have come out years ago, like Breaking Bad or Dexter or something like that. And they'll be afraid to go back and watch those things because that hype is already dead. You know what I mean? Like those shows are popular already. They're popular, so you can talk about it with anybody. But there's a certain vibe that happens like when there's a show that's brand new and the hype is at an all-time high. Everybody's talking
Like
about
trending.
it. Yeah. So the question is when is it too late to watch a popular series, movie, or TV show? And it's an open-ended question. I don't necessarily like think that there's a when you should. I think you should get into it whenever you want, but that's kind of the general topic for this episode,
That's a good question, and I'm happy to answer that, or at least give my opinion on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So I would say that's changed from when. So to me, about 2009 to before COVID. So let's just say that 10-year stretch.
Yeah.
2019 is for our generation. That's like the prestige TV era. Like a lot of people say that's the greatest era of TV, as far as like those drama shows.
Oh, 100%.
So it depends on the show you're speaking about, but with a lot of shows, so a lot of the shows that came out before social media took off the way it did, you can watch those anytime.
Yeah.
Like Sopranos, you can watch that
Yes.
anytime. There's
Yeah.
no expiration on that.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, a little different. That was during social media.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Big hype.
Big hype.
On the train. But it's crazy how you said that 10-year stretch. I never saw it like that before, and it's so true.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because like House of Dragons, I mean, the season just finished. And my girlfriend never watched Game of Thrones. And so I was like, well, like, let's watch House of Dragons. It's a prequel to Game of Thrones. And if you really like it, then, you know, you can get into watching Game of Thrones. She ended up loving it, like, the first season. And then she wasn't the biggest fan of how the second season ended. But I was like, hold on, relax. It's literally just setting up the whole, spoiler alert, the whole war that's about to happen between dragons. So I was like, you kind of have to leave it on a cliffhanger like that, because like they're not going to shove in the start of a war at the end of the end of the season. Yeah. It's just not going to happen. But
so no, to that point, that's true. I learned. I think y'all follow him. My friend Ken Sparks.
Yeah, Kenny. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He said this thing in a Facebook group years ago that resonated with me. Sometimes you just have to let storytellers tell their story.
Sure.
Don't get me wrong, you could criticize it, but we don't know why they set it up that way until season 3 happens.
Exactly.
Now season 3 is a flop or a dud.
Yeah.
Now we could criticize it.
Yeah.
So I do like the point you made that like it might be a setup for something epic.
Sure.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
Until the next season unfolds.
Yeah. And I feel like when shows are at their peak, there's a difference between shows when they're at their peak versus shows when they're kind of like the aftermath or the hype has finally died down. Like there's like 3 different periods. You have the hype, you have like kind of when it starts tapering off and people are still posting stuff, and then you kind of have like years after the fact when it's I won't say dead, but I'll say like it's not what people are talking about actively. And like I said, like you have shows like Breaking Bad, Dexter, Game of Thrones, even the new series Fallout. Like Fallout was huge when it came out. People were talking about it, especially in like the gaming sphere. Like people love seeing when game adaptations come to life and they're actually good.
Especially these days, they're so good now.
Yeah. Side note, I did just see like some reviews for what was it called? Oh my God, I'm blanking on it.
Is it a game?
It was a movie that just came out with Kevin Hart, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Borderlands. That movie,
they're killing it.
Huge. I heard it was a huge flop. I've never watched it, so I can't say.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like the internet is destroying.
Oh yeah. And the creator for that game, he came out and he was like, honestly, I'm kind of flattered that people like the game more than they like the movie, which is a good positive way to look at it. You know what I mean?
But it's not what they were trying to get.
That one.
I saw he made it was some article that I read earlier today. If I find it, I'll send it to you later. But yeah, he was making a comment about that. I was like, that's a good positive way to look at like a terrible movie, like a movie that didn't do well. It got a 9% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is crazy.
A 9%.
A 9%.
Now, do you think the internet has a big say on that?
100%.
Is it like review culture? You know?
Oh, I think so.
Well,
what do you think?
No, in this case, no, because that 9% you're looking at, I think it's from the critics, and you need a special pass to be able to vote on that.
Right.
So I did not know that. Audience score is its own thing.
Yeah.
So like, even like, I mean, I'm not like famous or nothing, but I couldn't get a critic pass. Yeah. I would have to get like a certain amount of followers. It's like, it's like getting a media pass.
So that's how it works.
Okay.
Yes. Now the audience score is something like me, you, and whoever can vote for.
So that's the hype train. That would be the hype train.
That is, yeah. That
depends on it depends on the genre and whose opinion you value. Because some people don't like critics. Some people live and die by the critics.
Well, actually, another question then, like for anybody, like because there's a lot of like movie or game to movie adaptations. There are like a lot of gamers. I feel like, and like Pedro and I are both gamers. Do you play games, Derrick?
I'm a big gamer, actually.
Yeah. So then
if you want to segue to that,
no. Well, like the three of us then can relate though, because it's like I think when you grow up playing a certain game, right, you have a certain vision of what the game is, right? Like with how they tell the story, how the characters are portrayed, and how they talk, and amongst other characters. So then when you see it in a live action adaptation or in a movie adaptation, and then it's kind of not what you expected it to be, I feel like gamers like hold on to like the original core value of what that thing is. And then like when it doesn't hit, you kind of you're like, oh, it's not real, it's not canon. You kind of disregard it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
So I like the way you put that. So that's the same thing Marvel is technically.
Yeah.
Because everything these days, from here I go the years again being historian, but from around like let's say Iron Man 1 and up.
Yeah.
Basically, since Marvel blew up, everything is an adaptation. Nothing's really original.
Right.
Like, growing up, we watched Independence Day or we watched, I don't know, Rush Hour.
Yeah.
None of that was like a book or anything. That was just a random movie concept that became a movie. Not everything. You're like, I know that from a book. I know that from a comic.
Exactly.
I know that from this or that.
Yeah.
So, to your point, that's what they're going up against. So it's easy for them. They're like, oh, let's take something that we know people like and turn it into something.
Yeah.
But at the same time, fans aren't stupid.
Oh,
yeah.
We know the story at least somewhat.
Yeah. That's why,
To answer your question, my bad.
Yeah. No. You're good. You're good.
No, to answer your question, I would say, it's high risk, but it's also high. No, they think it's low risk, but I think it's actually high risk.
Yeah.
Because with video games, at least with comics, it's a front to back story. But video games, sometimes it's very open ended. Like,
yeah, true.
Yeah. I feel like
it could lead to bigger things too as well.
Like I feel like storytelling in games haven't really been all that great up until what? Like you guys would say like the last 10 years or so? Like storytelling in video games haven't been all that great.
At least in a way where you couldn't fully expect it, because Final Fantasy probably was. I didn't play Final Fantasy, by the way, like Final Fantasy 7.
Yeah.
But people swear by that story.
Yeah.
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 But you're reading the story. It's kind of like a digital book in a way.
Right.
But to your point, what console are y'all on, by the way?
I'm playing PS5, yeah. But I play everything.
So I see your view. So in that respect, definitely the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Because the story, like Sony got some crazy story.
Oh yeah, they have great storytelling.
Yes.
But like you go back to like PS2 era, right? And you're talking about like Ratchet. I mean, Ratchet Clank had a story, but like
what was that
it's not like Uncharted 4 or anything like that, But it's like the storytelling has evolved over the years, so it's like it's easier to adapt a game to a movie now. But I feel like if it's a game like Borderlands where there is a story, but
it's easy to not follow.
Yeah. It's like have you played Elden Ring or Dark Souls, any of the Dark Souls games? Have you played any of those? It's like adapting those games to a movie. Like you can, but
it's kind of where gameplay is more focused than story.
Yeah.
Then it's kind of like hard.
Yeah.
But if the game is already like heavy on story, then it's easier.
Yeah. That's even like
like to your point.
Yeah.
Those Sony games from the PS3 era up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you said, Uncharted or what's the one, the electric guy?
Infamous.
Infamous. Yeah. Like those already have built-in stories.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of games have become more narrative driven. But then because I feel like there was this big push for games to reach this like cinematic height where they had to recreate realism. They had to recreate like actual storytelling. Like, and I feel like, for the most part, Ghost of Tsushima, another like prime example of like
that's a great one.
Fitting in Japanese, old school Japanese samurai movies into like a game orientation. It's like those kind of things can be adapted to a movie, but then you talk about I'm trying to think what
are you trying to think of?
What's the Halloween game with the skull, the one that you
Medieval?
Twisted Metal?
Medieval.
Yeah.
That's like adapting that game to a movie. Like
I don't even think I know that game.
Really? It was originally a PS1 game, right?
Yeah, and then they remastered it for PS4.
Mm-hmm.
It's like what was his name? Sir something.
Yeah, I Sir Jack or
no. I'm not sure. But he's like a skeleton. He walks around with a sword and just like are in like Halloween themed maps.
Oh, I remember Medieval.
Yeah, that.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
It's
I forgot about this game.
It's like, fun. They remastered it for PS4. You should play.
I vaguely remembered that game. I don't think I've ever played it because I think I was too young to play it at the time. So I don't know how you played it, and I'm older than you.
No. I didn't. I played it on a PS4.
Well, I thought
when
you
it was
played
remastered.
Oh no, I thought you played it beforehand. That's why.
No.
Okay, gotcha. But like, I part of a contribution to like some of the hype and before and after, like you see a lot of stuff on social media. So like now with social media, that hype comes and goes super fast, right? Like you don't have. It's almost like you have to go along with the trend or the hype. Otherwise, either one, it gets spoiled, or two, you kind of miss out on this hype train, right?
You have feel forced to.
And Pedro, I remember you were telling me about like something similar to that happened to you with God of War, right? Like you were trying to stay off social media because like,
God of War. You know, like when you're in college, like you're trying to have money to buy this game, and you have to wait maybe 2 more weeks or something till my next paycheck. And well, you can't. You have to stay out of social media. You have to stay out of the spoilers. But God of War actually got spoiled for me because of social media.
Yeah.
So
which one? The first like
the reboot, 2018.
Gotcha.
Yeah, 2018.
Yeah.
And it was just like but at the same time, it was a spoiler. You can't do anything about it. Whatever. But that goes to show, like, bro, if you really want to, play something while it's hype, then you got to risk. Like, if you go on social media, you're gonna encounter some spoilers. YouTube, like even the thumbnails, man, people don't care out here.
They'll put everything.
Yeah, they don't.
We don't do thumbnails. We just post a screenshot of our thing, and it's like, oh, I hope you watch it. That's pretty much it. Yeah. We probably should.
There too. I don't do thumbnails. Yeah, it's a lot. Making a podcast is a lot of work already.
Oh, dude, it's so much work. Like we were, if you don't follow him already, his name is, well, he's kind of like taking a hiatus from social media, but his name is his handle on Instagram is High Roller, but his name is Matt. He's all over. He's usually all over threads and stuff like that. But now I forgot why I brought this up.
We're talking about thumbnails.
Thumbnails.
Being difficult.
Like he was like giving us a lot of ins and outs on like what he's tried, what he hasn't tried, and he was saying like on Instagram, like he found that when he had a thumbnail on a reel, it did worse than when it didn't have a thumbnail. So
really,
yeah. And now I remember when we were talking on a podcast episode, like we were talking about how things get kind of like you get really consumed with your work, right? And like you get to a point where you realize that it's a lot of work. So you're pushing through all this stuff, like you're like, especially when you're doing it by yourself. You're doing the editing, you're doing the script writing, you're doing the outlines, you're doing the thumbnail editing, you're uploading everything. It's like you take all of that, and then obviously you're now social media has become a part of your daily job too. Like you're interacting with people, you're messaging, you're trying to like post stuff. It's a lot of work. Podcasting, from when we started, I don't know if you listened to this episode or not, or this clip, but in the beginning, when we kind of came up with this idea to start this podcast, we were like, oh, podcast is going to be easy. Like all we're doing is talking. Yeah. We just record it.
With like headphones.
Record it, throw our headphones on, throw it on, and then you're done, ready to go. It wasn't until I started doing it, I was like, oh my God, there's way more to a podcast than just talking. Like there's a whole lot more.
No, you're not lying.
Yeah, no. But there's just a whole process. There's a whole process.
Yeah, I mean, that's literally why I leaned into doing reels, because I'm like, at least people know me as the guy who talks about these things.
Yeah.
Whether they check out the podcast or not, they'll associate the brand. But no, go ahead, Pedro.
No, you good. And that's another thing. Like reels have been becoming like one of the top things to go for. Like people just doom scroll. That's all they do, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
instead of watching actual like videos and their attention spans. Like, so I feel like reels now is like, kind of like the main event, becoming the main event.
Yeah. And Instagram fully embraced that. Like they're shameless about it.
Oh yeah. I mean, ever since TikTok came out, like, I mean, every platform kind of took a hold of that little factor. Snapchat has it, YouTube Shorts has it, Instagram has it, Facebook has their own version of it too. So I mean, Instagram and Facebook are the same thing. But yeah, it's every platform is taking a hold of it, and it's like that's what digesting content now is. It's like in a 6 to maybe 30 seconds. It was funny. I saw a post. Somebody was explaining something. I don't know. I don't remember what the content was, which also goes to the point of like reels are great, but it's sometimes hard to remember exactly what people were talking about. Like I have a hard time remembering. Like I'll watch a reel and I'll really enjoy it, and I'll like come back and I'll tell somebody about that reel. I'm like, yeah, I don't remember half of that reel, so I have that. I'll send it to you later. I'll send it to you later.
Funny. You want to know something really funny?
What's up?
Yeah.
I do a bunch of reels.
Yeah.
And I barely watch reels.
That's an interesting thing.
What you do?
Yeah, what you do?
That's the thing, because it's like, it's kind of like, okay, so I'm like big on martial arts because that's one of my other nerd things.
Yeah.
Dope.
So it's like the more I like hit a punching bag, the more I was like, you know what, fighting's kind of stupid. like it's tiring. Like just holding your hands up is tiring. So it's like just making the reels is tiring. Like don't get me wrong, I like supporting creators' reels.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, now that I'm home for the summer, once I'm in the classroom, like, and I'm at my desk, I'm gonna be scrolling with my AirPods on. But like naturally at home, I don't watch them as much, which sounds backwards because I'm on Instagram a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's funny because I would say like I'm in the same boat. Like I downloaded TikTok years ago, and I could see the appeal. It's just rapid fire content. Like it's rapid fire.
It's dangerous.
I like that as a little randomized.
Yeah. And their algorithm is crazy good too. Like you watch 1 second,
it's so good.
It's crazy.
Twitter. Twitter sucks.
Oh, I hate Twitter. Threads is where it's at. Let's go Threads.
Yes.
And
Let's go Threads.
As I have a droopy eye, like my eye just didn't even lift up. I'm like, what the? Let's go Threads.
That's so you guys, because I like to watch reels a lot. I mean, I watch videos and reels. Now, is there a certain reason why you guys don't watch reels as much?
You can take it
I
first.
actually enjoy reels.
Yeah,
that's the thing. I just realized that like when people would ask me, they're like, "Oh, did you see this? Did you see that?" I'm like, you know what? I don't be like scrolling. Like my wife, she scrolls and scrolls and scrolls and laughs.
Yeah.
Not like I did it on purpose. I just realized I don't do it as much as I thought I did because I thought I was like a don't get me wrong, I'm a phone zombie. My energy is not dedicated to watching reels the way I thought it was.
Yeah.
Like I see a lot of posts like that's the thing. As I just said, Instagram is doubling down on reels. I do a lot, like, I do the floating head things. Like you'll see a background and my head's floating on it, and I'm talking about it. So I see a lot of those posts. So it's like I think Instagram knows that's what I'm looking for. Sure. So I screenshot a lot of those and I talk over them. So I guess it's, you know what? To answer your question, I don't watch them as much as I thought I would because I'm just too much of a nerd. So I'm either watching for what I'm into. I'm watching a movie.
Yeah, you'd rather spend your time doing what you like rather than just like watching something that you like.
Yeah, and it's I don't get me wrong. I love reels. It's just that I know I have content due on Wednesday and Thursday. I didn't watch. For instance, I didn't watch Avatar yet. I need to get on it. Or I gotta finish this video game. I can't do both at the same time.
Yeah,
facts.
Yeah, I think like the older you get, you kind of get to a point where you're like, you have to pick and choose what you're gonna do.
Not like being 16.
Oh no, bro. Being in high school or even college, like you can spend all your time doing whatever you want, and then obviously when you have a wife or when you have a girlfriend or when you have kids, all of that kind of changes. Like you have to be extra focused on like, okay, like I have maybe an hour to spend to do what I want to do. What am I going to do? Like, am I going to play games? Am I going to scroll my phone for an hour? Like that kind of thing. And I think that's, for me at least, that's kind of where I fall into. Like, I see my girlfriend scrolling on TikTok constantly, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I like reels. I think they're cool. I think it's a fast way to consume content.
But you could be caught doom scrolling.
You can caught, and like in general, like I'm just not like, unless I'm at work bored, like, and I'm just taking like small breaks, that's the really only time I'm on social media. Like, I don't really get on social media that often, which makes it hard to be a content creator because it's like you want to post and you want to reach out to people and you want to like talk to the community and everything like that. Like, I see the appeal of social media, but at the same time, it's like I could do without it. But I'm like, no, I need to have it because if I don't have it, then I can't create and connect with people. But like going back to like the whole movie spectrum, 2 other points in this like segment is like after like a movie or series kind of like pops off and it dies down, it's almost it goes silent and it's almost as if it's dead. Like it's like did this show even exist? Like House of Dragons ended. I don't see anything on social media. I don't see any ads about it. It's interesting. Like I just feel like it kind of falls silent.
Why do you think that is? Do you think is it just observation or do you have a reason in mind?
It's more of an observation. I think particularly I think because of how fast the internet moves, you share like something comes out, you're posting, especially like content creators, you're sharing stuff, you're posting stuff, you're talking about it. Once that thing is done, it's on to the next thing. It's on to the next thing. Like you can't continue like having something linger on for months on end. Like that's just, the internet is just way too fast paced for that.
It exposes like anything and that's good. And you only have like a moment to shine, maybe 2 months and then
maybe 2 months
until something else pops up.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's 2 things.
Sure.
Do y'all remember back then, like when a show would come out and you go to like maybe on a Friday and y'all go and talk about it you watch it, you live with it for the weekend, you talk about it on Monday.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist anymore the same way. 1, because
True.
we're not in school anymore.
True.
2, like you said, things move too quickly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to put this together correctly.
No, you're good. Take your time.
So yeah, it's just that there's too much content also, like you said.
Yeah.
But just also the amount of content that's being created. So Netflix produces like 100 shows a month.
Yeah.
Like, and
it's
I'm not
crazy.
exaggerating.
It's crazy.
No. It's a lot.
It's crazy.
It's a lot.
And the thing is, a lot of them are really good. A lot of them are at least okay enough for people to watch.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like the things that go number 1 on Netflix aren't the greatest shows, but people like them. So
and
it's just a lot. Then HBO, all these streaming apps.
Yeah.
First of all these streaming apps, there's a lot of them, but it goes to show you that these 4 companies own all the cable.
Yes. 100%.
So
big time.
Like we're learning that now, like Cartoon Network and TBS, they're all on one app now.
Yeah.
So we pay all this money to 4 networks, essentially, back then.
Yeah. I mean, with streaming the way it is now, it's kind of turning into we're going back in a full circle. We had cable, and then we're like cable stupid because we have Netflix.
Yeah.
When Netflix came out, the whole Blockbuster versus Netflix kind of ordeal. Blockbuster faded away. And then Netflix came in, and then people are like, you know what, streaming is the future. So then everyone jumped onto that, and then next thing you know, there's like 15 different streaming services. Now
start putting the prices up.
Yeah,
start hiking the prices up,
and we're about to pay for cable again.
We're about to pay for cable again.
Well, that's the thing. Cable sells streaming packages now.
Yeah,
and it's crazy. Like now they're putting ads into them, which is originally why you don't want cable. You don't want to wait.
Exactly.
It's more you want things to be more on demand.
Yeah.
And now they're putting ads on your shows. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, oh well.
See, that's the thing. There's 2 things with that. These networks really did lose money. Like with COVID and inflation.
Oh yeah.
Some companies are lying. Not to make it political, but it's on record that some companies are lying about how much money they lost because the CEOs are paying themselves.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
These networks actually took real losses.
Yeah.
So they're hiking the prices up. The only reason I don't agree with that is because the CEO of Disney, they had their worst year and he gave himself a pay raise.
Yeah.
So to bring it back to your point, it's kind of messed up that they're hiking the prices up.
Yeah.
But they did actually lose money, but that's a whole different debate. But I just want to throw out those
tidbits.
tidbits.
And that's like going deeper into the whole situation.
Yeah, it's like digging deep. And like you,
and I didn't dig that deep, but I see like the discourse online. I'll scroll look at it a little bit.
Yeah.
And I go back to like watching Sonic.
Yeah, you're just like that was enough information from what I need to actually, decompress a little bit. Yeah. Because I feel like, at least for me, like I try not to live life too seriously. And I could tell, like, obviously you two, Derrick and Pedro, like, I know you definitely don't. Like, you kind of just, like, you throw caution to the wind, yeah. But it's, like, sometimes, you have to stay informed with certain things, where the economy is politically and blah, 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 blah. But, like, with our lives are crazy as it is. Like, for me, I'm not trying to, like, bog down my life with any more extra, unnecessary political things, you know what I mean? Like, it's important to, like, if you're talking about something, you need to know, like, okay, like, like this thing, the reason why, like, kind of like what you're saying, Derrick, was like, the reason why, these these companies are actually losing money, but they're also like giving out pay raises. So there's this in between. So like you need to kind of know that if you're going to talk on it, like, so that way you're not just spouting random garbage on the internet, which is a constant thing that people do. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of do it sometimes, but yeah, I'm not going to lie. I do it.
That freedom of speech.
Well, it's just, you can admit that.
Yeah, well, it's like, you talk on, like, I hear people talking about like whatever their hobby is, or their niche is, and like a lot of people are super like informational on it, like and I just watching your reels, like you're super informational on it.
Thank you.
Which is dope.
Yeah, of course.
I really enjoyed them.
And I watched the one reel where you had he was talking about Disney movies.
Yeah,
your one guest.
Yeah.
He's super knowledgeable. I don't think like as the most.
Oh, you talking about my friend?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's his thing.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
Y'all meet on one day. He has it's almost sick. He went to Disney like 25 times.
Wow. Yeah, it's a lot. And it's like, people have their thing. It's like, like mine is gaming, and I have like other sub hobbies that I like, but like, I consider myself a well knowledgeable gamer, but then I hear people talk about games and like the history and like different like executives and different like the money that a certain game made and like sequels and like what it was originally. It's like, I don't know that. It's like, I thought I knew that, and I don't. Yeah. So, but I hear people talking about their hobbies, and I'm like, maybe I just don't know shit. I don't know, for lack of better terms.
It's interesting to say that. It's all perspective though, because I feel like with any topic, it's different ways to be an expert or enthusiast. Like, I'm very into, like, to y'all, I might look like I'm informational too. Yeah. Like, whereas to quote my friend Kenny Sparks again, when I see him post on, like, he's in a Facebook group where he's the man in this Facebook group.
Yeah.
He be writing things out. I'm like, wow, I wish I could talk like him.
Yeah.
So and then he reads so much comics, and the thing is, like, I'm in the trenches, like, I'm in the weeds with comics.
Yeah.
So I gotta speed read them, or I gotta get like a recap online.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to say that, just different ways to be an expert.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I'm an expert at comics, but in a different way. Uh-huh. Like, some people know what happened when they happened, whereas I can take one book and be like, oh, X-Men 75 is equivalent to how Martin Luther King got sprayed with the water holes in the 60s.
You kind of like relate it to. That's actually a really good point. Like, not expert. It's like different levels of expertise.
Yeah, I never really thought about it like that. Yeah.
Different levels, different lanes. It's like, and so it's like you bring that all together and y'all feeding off each other.
Yeah, and there's no like real standard to what like an expert is.
Yeah.
Kind of like... we all have knowledge about this in just different ways.
Yeah.
It's cool.
In complete side note, what's your favorite comic?
My favorite comic?
Yeah.
I gotta say X-Men. That's the reason I'm into all of this.
Okay.
Damn, X-Men. I feel like a lot of people say like
a lot of people know a lot about X-Men. Yeah.
Yeah. Especially like, what's the new X-Men that came out?
It was 70 or
97.
97.
Yeah.
That just came out.
So that's the thing. So for our generation, anyone who's into comics or sci-fi, X-Men was the main thing,
Yeah.
but because of the money issue, they had to lean into Avengers. So now for the kids I teach, Avengers is over X-Men.
Yeah.
But for our generation, X-Men was the forefront.
Yeah.
X-Men and Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Now Spider-Man and Avengers, and they're trying to bring X-Men back.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the rights to X-Men, so they had to ignore it for a little bit.
Pedro, what's your favorite comic?
I would have to
if you have to
say-
boil it down to like, you know, you can pick a hero and like their comic line.
Yeah, probably Batman.
Yeah.
And then
Good choice.
out of the Batman comics, man, I want to say the Batman Who Laughs, but I'm just gonna skip that one. I love that comic, but I'm gonna say, oh man, don't make me do this.
I have to quiz you on it.
I would say the Batman Who Laughs, because then my second option would be The Killing Joke, but that's because of the open-endedness it has at the end of the comic.
Yes.
And then you could develop so many stories out of that, and that's why I love it. I don't love it because of the comic itself. I just like it because of how it ended.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
More like the concept behind the actual storytelling in it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good choices.
I'm an Iron Man boy. Like I fell in love with the 2008 Iron Man movie with Robert Downey Jr. Like fell in love with it. Like I watched that movie like at least like 10 times.
Man,
I don't have a favorite
love
comic book because like I'm fairly new to the comic book space. I have a stack of them, but I recently, one of the most recent comics that I got, besides the gift that I got from my friend for my birthday, would be Moon Knight. Like I never really knew about Moon Knight too much. And I read the first 2 issues on how he kind of like his origin story and stuff like that. And I learned like he purposely created multiple personalities so that he could hide his true identity, which I thought was like, that's a good twist on like multiple personality. Like that's a good twist on it. And like he's just kind of badass. He's basically the Batman of Marvel. So.
Yes. And pause right there.
Yeah.
See? Without knowing it, now you know more than me about something. 'Cause I didn't read Moon Knight. I read about Moon Knight. I never read a Moon Knight book.
Yeah.
So that's something you could teach me about now.
Facts.
And
That's
you would
true.
never thought that probably.
Yeah, no. I wouldn't. Let me ask you, did you read about Moon Knight because of the Marvel series, or did you just do it on your own genuine, like, I wonder.
So, it goes back to what Pedro said about, not having, like, you have to wait to buy what you want.
Yeah.
So, I would have a comic book and I would be like, I don't really know who this guy in the white cloak is. Or it would be like a loophole like that. Not loophole, a rabbit hole. So I would get on like a Marvel wiki and the YouTubes, and they'll break it all down for me.
Yeah.
And even catch me up on 15 years of stories I probably missed.
Yeah.
And that in itself is fun.
Yeah.
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 So basically, I know who most of these characters are, even if I don't know their story page by page.
Yeah.
I know generally what their impact was, though.
Yeah. That's a good point. And like culturally, there's a cultural relevance to like between comics, between movies, between the adaptations, everything like that. And like when you talk about like how how the staying power between movies and TV shows, like when you talk about the cultural relevance between those like all those like pieces of entertainment, you start to like think about their staying power. You start to think about their relevance that they make in everyday conversation. You start to think about like how like the references people make, right? So like for example, you have The Office, right? We've all watched The Office, right? Like how many times do you on a regular do you reference like an episode of The Office or something like that? Like at least I know I do it a lot.
It's become part of my personality.
Exactly. It kind of takes on like your personality takes on that show a little bit. Yeah. And even SpongeBob, like the OG SpongeBob. I'm not talking about the new garbage that they come out with. Personally, I'm not a big fan of it. I tried watching it. They have some like gold little nuggets in there, but it is what it is. But like
they be trying too hard.
Oh yeah. It's like separate.
Well, the guy who created it died.
Did he?
A while ago.
Yeah.
Really? Oh wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I always forget it because I see his name all the time.
Yeah.
But he died like almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
Not more.
Jeez, now, yeah. I feel like when the creator of an original like a piece of entertainment passes away, it's hard to kind of envision what that creator was thinking of. Like Akira Toriyama,
it's like Worlds.
Yeah. Akira Toriyama, he's now passed away. Like that, I've never been crushed, and I've talked about this on another podcast episode, but I've never been crushed by like a content creator of that scale like passing away. Like I've always been like, oh wow, that sucks. Like it, like, you know, it always sucks. But that was the first one that actually hit me, because like for my childhood, Dragon Ball Z was like the thing. Like literally coming in, watching Dragon Ball Z with a group of friends, we would literally finish the episode that came out that day, and then we would come outside just to talk about it, and then we would act it out and blah blah blah. Like that had a huge part in my childhood. So when that happened, that kind of like that hit me super hard. But my point with all that is like there, because of that cultural phenomena, like there, like you have these creators that are making things, right? And you kind of they like you Pedro said too, you kind of take on that show like almost like it's a part of you. You know what I mean? And so like shows like SpongeBob and Dragon Ball Z, like those are all references that people make in everyday conversation. Yes. Like and it's hard to like you don't even see it. You know what I mean? When you talk about it, you don't even hear it. You just like it's normal.
And do you? I'm not. I might have my own perspective on this, but do you think like shows today have that kind of impact on people, where new shows that are coming in are becoming part of people's lives, such as, you know, like the ones you talked about?
Sure.
Or are we losing that because of how fast things are moving? Because you know, like back in the day, we would have to wait for Sunday for this to come out. You know, and then people will talk about it for the whole week.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, you kind of have that today, like Shogun, for example, on Hulu, which I thought it was pretty good. You have to wait like every Tuesday. I think that aspect of things,
it kind of brings it back a little bit.
It kind of brings back that whole, but how fast are things moving now?
But now it's competing with everything else too.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not just competing with TV shows, you're competing with TikTok and Spotify
and
all that.
And everything. So now it's like, is there anything that's sticking to us like as hard as before?
Derrick, I'll let you answer that one.
You'll see something that looks similar, but no.
Yeah.
And I'm not one, like, as you'll come to see, I'm pretty defensive of new era things.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, which is good.
You have to be.
Just to balance it out, because it's like I feel like it's easy to be negative in today's world.
Yeah, for sure.
But
for sure.
If I'm being 100% honest, because like you said, I'm a man of like facts. Like it doesn't look exactly the same. No.
Yeah.
I meant to answer this earlier when we were talking about how we just move on.
Yeah.
Everyone's algorithms are different too.
Sure. Yeah.
So for some people, Game of Thrones is still relevant. And they're arguing about it right now.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, it's gone.
Yeah. I think that
like if there's not an update, that's just it.
Yeah.
We'll see in 2 years.
That's a good point, because one piece of content that continuously pops up on my feed, but because I actively engage with it, is Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer, like the latest season finished, and like the movies are coming out, and like in the next couple of months or whenever they're coming out. But I still see like people posting, like there may not be clips, but like they'll be individual, like, you know,
it's still
slides.
In the combo.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, like you said, depending on like what you're actively engaging in, like, you know, it could still be relevant for you. Like you could still have Breaking Bad stuff on your feed right now. Like it just depends on what you're into.
So question to expand on that.
Yeah.
Y'all brought up X-Men 97. Y'all don't see that anymore as much, right?
Yeah, no, that I remember it was hot on Threads, because I remember I was seeing everybody's posting a lot of that, and then on the Instagram too, but I haven't really seen much about it.
I see it like 4 times a week still.
Wow.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and it's just because like sometimes you have to try to keep up with things too. You know, so, and the algorithm knows that you're trying to keep up with that. You know, for example, X-Men 97 for me, like when it blew up at first, I wasn't really that interested in it at the moment, and it kind of like I just stopped getting all the all the posts. I stopped getting like the algorithm recognized, all right, he's not really that interested. So it's not that it died necessarily. It's just like the algorithm picked up that I'm not interested at the moment.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And to your point, to the earlier point, something could have died, but it's just hard to know.
Yeah. Exactly. Because everyone's account is just so different. It's just, it's crazy. Because like you look at your wives' Instagrams or their TikToks, and you compare it to your own, and it's like completely different spectrums. It's like they get all of this, and then you get all of this, and it's like, I mean, an algorithm makes sense, you know. But then when you kind of like actually evaluate and think about it, it's like, like for some people, some things may have kind of like died off in air quotes, but other things may still be relevant for those people. But I think one thing culturally that helps a lot of these shows, when there's a lot of hype behind a lot of these shows, spinoffs are made, you know. Breaking Bad, for example, I know I keep using that as an example, but
it's a good example.
Better Call Saul, didn't watch that one either, but I do know Better Call Saul came out it finished 2 years ago.
Yes.
And like that was like, it was spin off from Breaking Bad. So it was like, you know, if something does well enough, you can kind of make spin-offs of it and kind of continue that hype train in a way. Walking Dead did that too, right? They did a spin-off.
I mean, to be fair, almost everything is looking to be spun off these days. Because remember when I said nothing's original?
Yeah.
That like, if you like D23, everything's a sequel or spinoff.
Yeah.
They announced one original movie out of the 7 they announced.
Yeah.
So, yes, Walking Dead does have like a spinoff or two.
Do you think that's a problem actually? Like that there are kind of either too many spinoffs and nothing is really original anymore. Do you think that's a problem?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Yes, because it makes people feel like we don't like repeats, but we say that, but then we give our money to sequels. Like
big facts.
Yeah. So but if you're talking about like just being a critic, like not like a bougie critic, but just someone who knows what's good and what's bad. It could be bad in that way, but it's also a little safe. It's like you kind of want to see the Ghostbusters. You were wondering, like, I wonder what happened to the Ghostbusters. I wonder what happened to Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
I wonder if Tony's family's okay since he passed. Stuff like that. So it's. I'm sorry that I didn't give you like a great answer.
No. And the companies are always looking for their own benefit as well. Like, and not their own benefit, because you have to. No, you're right. You have to take into account like the cost of things. And they're looking at these things like, well, we have to keep to this budget. We have to, you know, keep it this way. And now they're asking them, hey, so we want low risk. If you want low risk, then do a sequel. You know this is gonna make money.
Bingo.
You know. Boom.
Yeah, because
that's exactly what it is.
Companies will always chase where the dollars are going. If they can sniff where that money is coming from, they'll go there every single time.
I mean, it makes sense. Like. Because now movies are more expensive to make. And 100%. I read the MCU book recently. Now I know why. The technology they use since Iron Man, they're not even like the technology they used since they made Iron Man 1 is nowhere near the same.
Oh, yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
So it's just expensive. And then they're like, they had to pay for rush productions because their slates are so big.
Yeah. So
it's just safer to use Iron Man rather than some other guy who works in the lab. Why not just make it Tony Stark?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Relating to that, how do we feel about Robert Downey Jr. playing as Victor Von Doom? How do we feel about that? I love Robert Downey Jr. I love him. So like, I mean, whatever.
No, I mean, I'll go and watch it. I think it'll be good. The nerd in me, like, I wish Doom could have been a different person, because I think Doom is like really cool. Like, I look at him the way people look at Thanos.
Yeah.
And it's just cool to see someone be powerful. But like, Thanos is like powerful in the typical sense. He has hands. Don't get me wrong. He's a genius.
Yeah.
But he has his hands and strength is so good. Like, he took out Hulk.
Yeah.
So that kind of overpowers how smart he is. Dr. Doom is really smart, and he's like he's like cool, like he's like untouchable, like he doesn't break a sweat when he fights.
Yeah.
I wish they would have individualize that. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It would be cool to see Tony Stark as that variant. It will I'm complaining about it now, and I'll probably love it when I see it.
Yeah.
But just selfishly, I wish they would have had someone fresh for him.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I almost would have, and this might have been a rumor or speculation or something like that. So I don't know if it's entirely true or not. But I think I've heard rumors that Robert Downey Jr. is also going to do another variant of Iron Man at some point or something like that. I read that. I don't know if that's true or not.
It's possible, but it's hard to know.
Maybe a cameo.
Maybe a cameo.
Well, see, after reading the book, sometimes they plan on doing these things.
Yeah.
They'll make the rough copy of the scene and scrap it.
Yeah.
Like he was supposed to be in Deadpool versus Wolverine.
Yeah.
Oh shoot.
That versus Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah.
In it.
Yeah.
In a not Iron Man role. He's gonna be the same Tony Stark we knew.
Yeah.
But because that has time traveling, it's gonna be right before Infinity War.
Oh, that would have been dope.
Yeah,
that would have been dope.
I'm going to watch it this Friday. I fell behind on that.
You gotta watch it.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about it.
From what you're saying, you'll enjoy it. It's good action, good laughs. You see Wolverine, a different element. You'll like it.
Yeah, I'm glad that they got Hugh Jackman back for Wolverine.
Yeah, and it looks like he'll stay for a little bit.
Yeah, I can't see anyone. It's funny. I can't see anyone play. It's weird. I have a hard time because a lot of these actors fill these roles for such a long time that when they kill them off and have another variant to kind of take their place, it's kind of hard to visually see that character as someone else. For example, in Wakanda Forever, they have Ironheart now. Because she in the comics she took over Iron Man's mantle, but he was still alive in the comics. He wasn't dead.
Yes.
And he funded for her to go to school and everything like that. And then she ended up building her own Iron Man suit, and et cetera, et cetera. She becomes Ironheart. She doesn't have that, so she kind of built that. They kind of twisted that story up a little bit. So, so she'll kind of take up that new mantle as Iron Man, Ironheart. Yeah. But what they teased also when he died, in spoiler alert, if no one's watched this movie by now, in Endgame, but they teased the young kid from Iron Man 3, where he ended up giving all of his tech to. He gave all of his tech to this kid.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they haven't shown anything from this kid since Endgame, but allegedly, doing a theory, from what I've heard from other people, he's supposed to be Iron Kid or Iron Lad, or which there's also Iron Lad. Yeah.
But see, that's the thing. That would be a remix then, because in the original comics, Iron Lad is a variant of Kang.
Right.
Oh shoot.
Oh yeah, you're right.
He's a good guy. He doesn't want to be like Kang, so he joins the Young Avengers.
Yeah.
That's dope.
They're supposed to be doing a Young Avengers 2, but I don't know if they haven't really.
We don't know yet because Marvel Disney lost a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that was the original plan, but it's a we'll see type thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stuff they announced. Hopefully. I found out they announced that because the CEO of Disney, not the current one, but the one they just fired, had a gun to Marvel's producer's head. Was like, announce all these things, and he's like, all right, I guess I will.
Oh, that's why they came out with that timeline of here's the movies from literally now for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
That's okay. That makes a lot of sense.
They announced the Armor Wars movie with Rhodey.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem to be a thing no more. And they don't want to admit that because he was forced to announce that when it was just a working idea.
Wow. That's crazy.
The stuff that goes down, man.
Yeah. See, those are the weeds that sometimes you have to dig into. But on a kind of moving forward a little bit, there's a thing that a lot of people experience, right? You I'm being vague on purpose, but you're afraid to get into something, or you're afraid to miss out on something. Yeah. So as a repercussion, you rush through a series to catch up to where they are currently. What I'm referring to is FOMO, right? Yeah. There's a lot of FOMO when it comes to movies, TV shows, etc. And if there's a new hyped thing, and don't get me wrong, social media is a is heavy on that because like
on the
people,
FOMO,
yeah. Because if a lot of people are posting that, you're gonna see that, and like all your friends are gonna be talking about that.
Yeah.
There's a general consensus like if you miss out on this particular piece of entertainment history,
yeah,
like, and you don't have that conversation to offer to your friends, you missed out. It's done. Like you can't rekindle that.
Yeah.
And
I feel like that's more of like a behavior
Mhm.
that you kind of have to like endure through that.
Yeah.
Either you kind of have to make a decision, man. It's like you got to pick and choose, especially when your day is full, when you have a lot to do and shit. You know what I mean? But yeah.
It's like, have you ever been in a friend group chat where they're talking about a show?
Yeah.
And
it sucks.
It
sucks because then you feel
so
like
bad.
you have to buy it.
Yeah.
It's like I have to buy it. Like this is the next big thing.
And it's not just with movies. Like it happens with everything. Like like games too. It's like, oh bro, like, and like, like I said earlier in the start of this conversation, like you as you get older, you have less time to really like divvy up your time to multiple things. So you kind of have to be very specific. Mm-hmm. And like you'll start playing something, right? And then people like it takes me now probably 2 months to beat a game, like because I'm just so busy all the time. Pedro would say, I just suck, but but it takes me 2 months to beat a game. So like by the time I get to the end, people have moved way past that game. I'm like, how do you have so much time to dedicate to this? But it's also like, I'm like, I don't want to miss out because I want to keep up with the hype and I want to make sure that I can actually converse with people and talk to people about this specific thing. And it's like sometimes you will rush through a particular piece of content or entertainment just to get to where people are at, and you don't enjoy it as much,
I did that with Game of Thrones, I think, because I didn't watch it when it was a thing. I didn't realize how big it was until, like, in the moment, it's like I kind of knew. Yeah. But when I started hearing people talk about it on podcasts, I was like, wait, I think this is the cultural event.
Yeah.
Everybody was talking about it.
Yeah. I don't know how I missed that, though. So, but I did catch it for the final season, so I was able to talk about that in real time with people. I do think that's a thing, but also it might not sound right, but I think people are less scared of that than they used to be. Yeah. Because I think people who aren't into Marvel movies or people who are kind of into them, but they're not fanatics about it, they're like okay with being like, you know what, there's too many movies. Yeah. Like, I think people are like, there's so much content, you're able to just like, this is a world I don't live in. Like, people who are into horror movies, they're like, you know what, I'll just stick to my horror movies. You like Spider-Man, whatever.
Yeah. I feel like Marvel's like another beast though, because like there's so many Marvel movies and series that it's like at this point I understand that people like, I give up. I can't keep up with it. Yeah. But if it's for something smaller, like I feel like, actually, to go back to Game of Thrones, like years ago, even in high school, I was the kid that tried not to follow the hype because I didn't want to be like, oh, I didn't want to follow everybody else. So I was like, I'm not gonna watch that show. That's stupid because everybody's talking about that thing. I want to be different, in air quotes. When I was just kind of like disregarding my own interests. Yeah. But I think I got into it a little bit before you, Derrick, where it was probably maybe 2 or 3 seasons before, maybe 2 seasons before it ended. And then I kind of just binged watched everything. And I in that regard, I had a lot of content to watch. Yeah. Like, and
it was good content.
Oh, it was great. It's so good. Yeah. And it was like, when I feel like sometimes when you have that much content to go through, it's almost like not euphoric, but you sit there, you're like, wow, I get to enjoy this. Yeah. Almost in air quotes.
When you finally start to get through it. Yeah. Like when you're starting to get in the rhythm of getting through the episodes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Especially after that first season.
Yeah, especially the first season.
You know a show is good when you don't pick up your phone during the show.
I know a lot of people that like, if I'm watching a movie, I'm focused to watch a movie, right? Like if I'm there, if I'm watching a series, I'm focused to watch a series.
Yep.
If it's like YouTube or something like that, yeah, I'll hop on my phone and I'll scroll through or I'll check messages or whatever. But usually,
Do you watch YouTube on your TV?
I watch YouTube wherever I can get a screen. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
I honestly, YouTube is probably the thing that I watch the most. Like,
Okay.
I watch Netflix and I watch Hulu a lot. But I've over the years I've become, after consuming a lot of entertainment and media, I've gotten very akin to like picking out like good shows. Like once you start watching a lot of shows, you can start to pick out like, okay, this is bad, this is good. Like just from like
You can
even
tell
the trailer
pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like a lot of shows, I don't even give time of the day because it's like I can tell it's not going to be good. Save this episode if you want. Don't feel obligated to, but save this episode for Halloween time, so around October. There's a movie called Pedro, gotta help me out on this one.
What the
it's the
Jeepers Creepers?
Jeepers Creepers.
I remember that.
Jeepers Creepers Reborn.
No, I didn't watch Reborn.
Are you so? Watch the movie if you want.
Okay.
Maybe listen to the podcast episode, but we kind of like talk about that movie. My girlfriend and I were looking for a movie to watch, and she's a big fan of Jeepers Creepers, so she saw that, and I was like, she was like, oh, let's watch Jeepers Creepers, let's watch the trailers. I watched the trailers, and within the first 5 seconds, I could tell that it was going to be a bad movie. Like the costume.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I think I ignored it for a reason.
Yeah, the costume, you can tell, like the budget for it was very low.
I remember.
Yeah, and it was rough watching that movie. I will say, while it wasn't good, it was hilarious to watch. It's one of those movies that you kind of get together with your friends or like whoever, and you're like, let's kind of just laugh at this movie.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it's a good movie to like, oh, you're gonna be blown away. But I would say if you're looking for a good time,
okay,
that's a movie to look out for.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of see what we're talking about. But another point in FOMO that I wanted to touch on before we move to the next one is like the lack of relevancy that you feel, like when a show, if you're not kind of like being a part of that hype, you feel like you're not relevant to the people around you. You kind of feel like, wow, am I old now? Am I an old head? Like,
you're trying to hang on.
Yeah, you're like, I want to catch up. Like it's like, like right now we're like, at least me, I'm trying to keep up with all like the new lingo. Obviously, like there's some of them I'm not going to use because some of it's stupid, like skibbity. Like I'll never use that.
Wait, what's that word?
Yeah, right. I'm hearing the same.
Skibbity.
Oh, Skibbity Toilet?
Yeah, Skibbity Toilet. Yeah.
I know that one because it's second grade.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's like you're constantly fighting and trying to like hold on to that little bit of relevancy that you have as like being an adult. Just like, I don't want to be old. I don't want to be like not cool or not a part of the hype train. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but
so you know about Riz?
Yeah, I know about Riz. Yeah. I taught Pedro that one.
Yeah, you did.
Oh, okay.
And then after you said it, like I started like hearing about it all in the reels and stuff like that.
It's like, you got that Riz?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny, but like revisiting shows is probably one of the best things to do personally. Like, I think if people are too caught up in FOMO, or if they're too caught up in like, the hype or the cultural relevance, revisiting shows is a solid thing to do. I mean, even if you've already watched the show, like sometimes it's good to go back and watch it. Like I watched,
especially if you have time removed from that show, it hits so much harder.
Yes. I can't tell you the hype like that I had when I saw that the live action for Avatar was coming out. Like I watched Avatar: The Last Airbender like 2 or 3 times before that came out. I mean, obviously, like when that came out, it was like 2007, 2006.
Oh, the cartoon.
Yeah.
Can I tell a quick story about that? Real quick?
Yeah. Go for it.
So, I was introduced as Derrick. Yeah, that's my name.
Yeah.
My last name's Slanger. So my Instagram name is Avatar.Slang.
Yeah.
It's a spinoff from Avatar.Ang. So I say that
tough.
to say that is my favorite. Like that's like I quoted X-Men as like the thing that got me into like sci-fi and comics and all that.
Yeah.
Avatar is the other piece of that.
Yeah.
Like
Got
Avatar
you
is
in.
Say again?
Like it reeled you in.
There we go. They reel me in. Like I did like the fact that like without all of the what they call it wokeness now.
Yeah.
Even if you remove all that, the action's good. The fights are good. The dialogue's good. Like it's my favorite cartoon.
It's so good.
See, I'm feeling so irrelevant right now because I
Really?
have never seen it.
Bro, you have to.
Like it's up there with like you gonna watch it even like
I
this
have
is a
to.
Nickelodeon cartoon.
I have
it looks
to.
like HBO wrote it.
Dude, it is like for the era that it came out and the network that it came out on, it is like you think about it and like you're like that show probably should not be on Nickelodeon. Like it should like it could have been on something else. Like it like I'm glad that I got to experience it when it came out.
It's definitely like a Netflix HBO type show.
Yeah, I never hear bad things about it. Never.
No.
Like when you get time, because I know there's so much content to like.
Yeah.
But if you ever have a down moment, check it out.
It's super digestible though, because they're only 20-minute episodes, and there's three books, 3 seasons. So
yeah, have to definitely give it a try.
Yeah,
like you gotta look at it as if you're watching a short HBO show. Look at it like that.
Yeah,
that deep. You get to learn some stuff, some life stuff.
No, dude,
that's what I keep hearing.
For a kid's cartoon, like it has a lot of like deeper meaning behind it. Like it is, I love it. Okay. It's funny because I know I keep talking about she's gonna get a big head, but my girlfriend, she's not really big into she's not big into anime. She's not really big into games. She's not really into a lot of that stuff. She's more into like she's more into like reality TV shows and makeup and that general category. But she has some like she doesn't mind playing games here and there, and but one I got her into watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, the cartoon. But the only reason why I got her into that, funny enough, was because she ended up watching the live action for One Piece, and so she really liked that. And I was like, okay, there's an Avatar: The Last Airbender live action that series that's coming out. Watch the cartoon. And she was like, I don't know if I really want to watch it. She has a hard time giving things like entertainment a chance. So she watched the first episode. She was like, it's kind of boring. And then because the first episode is in my opinion, it doesn't get straight to the action, so it's kind of like a little drawn out. But it's there's no direction of where the story is going. It's literally just a 11-year-old boy who's found an ice block playing around.
The first episode definitely feels like a Nicktoon. I will warn you about that. The next few episodes, it's not Nicktoon anymore.
No. It's game time.
Definitely game time.
I was like, I keep telling her, I was like, you can't just judge a show based off of the first episode. You can't do that. Like you have to give a show at least a couple episodes for it to really story build, and
especially an action one.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the more episodes she watched started hooking her in. I think after because the first book is kind of slow, but once you get past the first book, it starts ramping up and a lot of stuff starts happening.
You can even say by the time it gets to that arc, I don't want to ruin it, so I'm trying to put it in the non-spoiler term. The arc one, they're at the other water temples, the other water tribes.
The Southern Water Tribe or the Yeah.
Is it Southern? Yes.
Or it's either Southern. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Toward the end of that first book.
Yeah. That's when it starts picking up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like towards the end, I was like, okay, so what did you, when we finished it, I was like, what do you think? She's like, I really like that show. I was like, see, you just got to give it a chance. You just got to give things a chance. You can't judge things based off of like people's reviews, people's like prior connotations and stuff like that. And so that's why like when it comes to revisiting shows, I think like if you held off on watching something, sometimes now's the better time to watch that show.
Yeah.
Because your mind is devoid of all of the distractions, right?
Yeah.
You don't.
And it's not influenced by any critics or not like
Exactly.
that's newer. You're not. Yeah.
Yeah. You can almost build a
And you have
deeper.
more of an adult brain for these shows.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You can almost build like a deeper appreciation for that piece of entertainment.
Yeah.
Because I know for a fact, like if I was like 12 watching, I'm trying to think of a show that had like really good substance, like depth to it. Maybe have you guys watched Blue Samurai yet?
I've been watching that.
The Netflix show?
Yeah.
Yes.
That has some good depth to it, but I feel like as a kid, you're not gonna really watch it for that. You're just gonna watch it for like the action, the entertainment.
Yeah.
You waiting for her next fight.
Yeah. But
and some of those might bore you if she doesn't fight enough.
yeah, you're like, oh, why isn't she killing anybody? But when you get older, you start to appreciate like, oh, the story writing, like how they shot a certain shot,
leading up to
it, the character development, all that stuff, and you grow that appreciation.
And Attack on Titan is big on that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Sometimes I'll be falling asleep, but then how they lead up to it, and
But that's because Japan's different.
Yeah.
Like in America, we have deadlines, and they're trying to make things for like things are created in America for the toys and commercials.
Yeah.
Like there's the show Young Justice I used to watch. They got canceled because it wasn't a toy seller.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow.
It's crazy, right?
It is all about the merch. I will say that.
Yep. Because you gotta think about it. If they're like, well, kids don't really seem to like it. Why will I advertise with you?
You're right.
Yeah.
So they need to sell they're really selling the shows to Coca-Cola.
Right.
They want Coca-Cola or they want Lucky Charms to advertise on their slots.
Yeah. Good point.
So I mean, not to change the subject.
No. That makes perfect sense, though.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's like it goes back to what we were talking about earlier, how they just think of like low risk.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was actually talking. I went to GameStop, as relevant as GameStop is, but I went into a GameStop and I was talking to this guy, one of the workers there, and I was saying to him about like I love Nintendo, but I wish they would create new IPs, just because kind of to the same conversation we were talking about, like there's just kind of like a lot of remasters, remakes of things. Nothing's really original. Like I'm hungry for new content. Like I'm hungry for new characters. But this guy had like made the point, kind of like what you said too, Derrick, was like it from a financial standpoint, it doesn't make. Why would you make a completely new IP when you have Mario, Zelda, Kirby, and Donkey Kong, and you can just keep making new iterations of that?
Yeah,
where you're selling merch, you're selling toys, you're selling DLC, a whole bunch of other stuff. People already know that stuff, so they're gonna buy it regardless. You can make the worst Kirby game, but because it's Kirby, people love Kirby, they'll buy it anyway. So like it's more about like the IP already built a foundation, a brand behind it. So like, why not just keep using that brand or that IP?
So I have a question.
Yeah.
What was the last Nintendo IP you purchased that wasn't Mario, Kirby, Donkey Kong, or Link?
That's a good question. I can't. Probably Overcooked.
That's not even Nintendo. That's like.
Look, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
I haven't touched my Switch in a hot minute.
And that's probably why Nintendo's scared to make new IP, because they know our attention's everywhere. They know we be on TikTok. They know we listen to music. They know we watching TV. They're like, you know what? We just gotta make these Mario tennis games.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Because like I play Fire Emblem, not much because it's a time-consuming game.
Yeah.
But I partake in it.
Yeah. And
I can't walk up to somebody assuming they play Fire Emblem. What's Fire Emblem? The game with Roy and Marv.
So who?
Aren't they from Super Smash Brothers?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it's like it goes into that logic. So it's like my friend Mike, he's the Mickey Mouse fanatic. He always throws questions back at our friends. So we'll be like, so if I was to say, oh, I don't know, Dr. Doom's a top 5 villain of all time. He's like, are you just saying that? Name the 5 villains then.
Yeah.
And if I name 5 before Dr. Doom, he's like, so you were just saying that. So
it's like that.
Your GameStop friend's point. It's like, yeah, it's nice to say that, but are you going to buy it?
Exactly. Yeah. I think,
and not to say you wouldn't, but
it just has to be
Nintendo,
compelling enough, right?
Sure,
Like,
we would.
yeah, it has to be compelling enough because there is a huge risk in making completely new IP. That's
that's
why,
what
like,
Nintendo is.
yeah, they just, I mean, it works for them. And like, don't get me wrong, I love all of those IPs. But then you have a lot of these new games that come out, whether on PC, Xbox, or PlayStation, and they're completely new IPs, and they just kind of they either make it or they flop. Helldivers wasn't even like that was the second iteration. But a lot of games that are successful are usually iterations of a game that already came out, or they're a remake or something like that. It's very rare for a brand new IP to crush it on. It's very rare.
So I would say, have you ever heard the game channel on YouTube called Gamer Ranks?
Yes, I love them.
Yeah,
I use him to find new IPs or new games. Period.
Yeah,
like he's the one who got me up to speed on what this Alan is it Alan Wake?
Alan Wake, yeah.
He got me up to speed on how big the first one was and why the second one was, because Alan Wake 1 isn't from that long ago, right?
It's PS3 era. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, that's longer than I realized. See, I missed that completely.
Yeah.
So
Justin got recently into that too.
I was just gonna suggest going on that channel, but y'all on top of it.
Yeah.
Y'all probably bigger gamers than me.
Justin actually got into that recently.
I saw that Alan Wake 2 was coming out. I had never played the first one, and I was like, the second one looked dope, because I was like, besides Resident Evil, I was like, there's not a lot of horror games that I'm like that I really vibe with that have a really good story. So I watched the trailer for Alan Wake 2, saw the graphics, saw kind of like the mysterious story. I was like, I'm sold. I'm interested. So I bought the first one off PlayStation Plus. It was like $10. Played it. I could see how it was a popular game for the time. Playing it today in 2024, the game mechanics aren't the greatest, but for the time that it came out, it was definitely like a top tier game. Alan Wake 2, phenomenal game. Storytelling, like the acting, everything like that is fantastic.
Okay, then I'll get it.
Yeah. And then they have, so I don't know. I wouldn't really consider this a spoiler, because it's a part of the game, and you don't. There are two endings, so just make sure that
I knew that.
Oh, you knew that? Okay, yeah. There's two endings to it. I've only played the first one, but I platinumed the entire game. So like,
really,
yeah, I platinumed it. Like I don't do that with a lot of games, and I have to be super in love with the game to actually do that. So I'd highly recommend.
Were you
recommend it.
aware that I was in the same universe as Control?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just learned that recently.
Control is another very good game. Another game that I also
Control.
platinumed. I platinumed that too. That I love Control.
Platinum.
Well, Control's such a good game. Although when I played it, the frame rate on PS4 at the time was trash. So like, you opened up the map, nothing loaded, but that's just nothing loaded, and it would take a while for everything to render, because it was just such a big game. And even on PC, like, it was a highly demanding visual game. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
As a little fun thing that we like to do on the Leisure Hub podcast at the end, whenever we have a guest, we've only done this once, so you're the second one. So like,
okay.
So we do this little thing at the end of the podcast. I'm gonna so make sure you keep an eye on your Discord, okay? I'm gonna send you this little card, and you just let me know when you get it.
Okay.
All right, I just sent it, so you let me know when you get it.
I got it.
Okay. So what do you see?
I see a card that says hot take.
So we love giving these out at the end of the podcast with the guests. So you get the hot take card. This is your open floor. Give any hot take you have. It could be about the topic that we have, or it could be any topic. But give your hot take. I know you have tons of them.
Deadpool doesn't make sense as a character in the MCU.
Ooh, wow.
He's a little overrated. And this version of him is a little overrated.
Yeah.
Not honestly, that's the second person that I've heard that from,
Yeah.
and that is a hot take.
That is a hot take.
That is a hot take.
Well, explain the take.
Explain your take. Explain.
Okay, so when I say overrated, I mean in a literal sense. Like people say he's a 10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
To me, he's an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's still very good, but he's not a 10.
Yeah.
So for instance, I'm going to do this spoiler free.
Okay.
He did things in his third movie that didn't make sense. They tried to give him a story to make him try to hit, like, Captain America.
Yeah.
His character hits you in the heart.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah,
it's about like, it's about his heart and like what he stands for,
Right.
and how he doesn't ever want to give up,
Mm-hmm.
all
Yeah.
that like stuff. They try to do that to Deadpool a little bit, and it's like, we are not here for that. like if you do it successfully, then we're here for it.
Yeah.
But you're not doing a good job at
Yeah.
it. So the scene that was supposed to be with Tony Stark,
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier,
Uh-huh.
they ended up doing it with a different character. And
that was supposed to be with Tony Stark.
yes. So
Okay.
it's like, doesn't really make sense. Like, he doesn't need to. Actually, I could say this. It's not a big spoiler.
Mm-hmm.
He had aspirations of joining the Avengers,
Mm-hmm.
but the way he acted in the movie, it was not consistent with that. It's like they just put it in for fan service.
Mm-hmm.
So my hot take is Deadpool isn't as well written as people think he is.
Now, I gotta ask you: would this be in the MCU or like
The comic, because the comic and MCU they're very different.
So
Because I don't know, like I don't know Deadpool outside of the
okay, so I can't speak to the comics that much because
same.
the comics, I know what I know, but when it comes to comic writing, it's not like writing a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I could write a Spider-Man comic, and when nerds refer to it, they be like, the Derrick Slanger version of Spider-Man was really good.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
or no, they said the Derrick Slanger run. That's how they usually put it.
yeah.
Okay.
Or when they talk about Hawkeye, they said the Matt Fraction run.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's the one who made Hawkeye relevant to the point where they made a TV show.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't speak to that, but like in the MCU, I enjoy all three of his movies, don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's a top 5 post-Endgame movie for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
For some people that's not saying much, but I'm not as negative on the MCU as other people.
Sure.
It does have downsides for me.
Oh yeah.
But that's my hot take. That at least one I can think of right off the
No,
bat.
that and that's good because you're not coming at the character himself, but you're coming more at like from a writing perspective.
Yeah. How he's
Yeah,
currently
true,
how he's currently portrayed.
The thing is, the writers, because I write myself, and there's different aspects. Like, it goes back to the aspects thing. Like, different aspects of being a nerd, there's different aspects of being a writer.
Yeah.
They nailed the dialogue.
It's
Very clever. But as far as character motivations, like his backstory and the reason he's doing things, they had a vehicle in how it worked. Like, so for instance, when you watch Spider-Man and Iron Man, you feel the world he's in. You understand the world he's in.
Yeah.
Iron Man is basically a celebrity.
Yeah.
Spider-Man is a high school student.
Yeah.
You understand his world. It's like you're living in his world.
Yeah.
It's not like that with Deadpool.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing, though.
Yeah.
So that builds it up in a way where, in his dilemma he's having in Deadpool 3, Deadpool and Wolverine, because we don't know his world, he's like, I don't care about saving my universe. I care about saving these 9 people.
Yeah.
That actually works.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know what? I don't know what his world is like. Like, what city does he even live in?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
But you only care about those people in his living room. So I'm not going to say the writing is bad. The aspect of the writing is not it for me. Like, trying to make him like this guy who cares about like being an Avenger.
See,
it didn't work for me.
I see that, and I think part of that is because Deadpool is kind of a hard character to write for, from a movie standpoint, because he, like, basing off of like the small amount of knowledge that I have of him from the comics, like he doesn't really have motivate like a he has a backstory, sure, but it's not like it's not to the level of like, spoiler alert again, but Far From No Way Home, where you know Peter Parker now loses completely everything. Right now he has more, like you can relate to that. He lost, like he wanted everything and he lost everything. Right. You can relate to Iron Man, where like, you know, we can't relate to him being like a billionaire, but we can relate to him, like at least in the comics he had alcoholism, him trying to like right his wrongs, stuff like that. Deadpool is just kind of all around, he's all over the place. He doesn't really have a designated like spot. He's just kind of like, he's a fourth wall breaking comedic effect type of person.
True,
he's not really like a.
But I thought, correct me if I'm wrong, I thought like he was basically tortured to the way where nothing can really hurt him, like not even emotionally. And at that point, there's not really a story worth writing. You know what I mean? Because
that's a good point. I didn't think of it that way.
Yeah,
but there's also and it's weird because again, it depends. Like the Deadpool I read and Deadpool you read could be two different writers.
Yeah, exactly.
He does the nicest thing.
Yeah.
Like he'll help a girl cross the street randomly. Like he does have a heart. It's just the way they did it in this movie.
No, I completely get that.
Yeah.
And he even has a heart in the movie. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's just the whole I want to matter. It's like you don't want to matter. Like
Yeah. And it's funny because you said earlier how comic heads, they did this run this like in like in like in My Hero Batman, like the Scott Snyder. Is it Scott Snyder? Like that with
which Batman though? The man who laughs.
No, I did. He wrote that one and also some of the New 52.
I actually have the whole New 52 collection. I don't remember who writes that.
I think it might be him.
You guys aren't true comic fans if you don't know.
If it's not Scott Snyder, then I'm wrong. But with the New 52, I really like that run. And maybe that's what Deadpool is missing from like the comic book, the comic world. It's like it needs a good run.
Yeah, but
with good storytelling and maybe make a movie about that.
Yeah, but I feel like if you change like that now, because he's already like too far developed.
True.
Fans will not be like there's
people like now.
People love like his randomness.
That.
Like they would be like kind of upset if they kind of like dumb that down a little bit. You know what I mean? But you know what's kind of dumb though, and it's kind of like not the greatest type of thing. The ending of this podcast. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on the latest episode of the LeisureHub Podcast. We've been your hosts, Justin and
Pedro,
and our guest, Derrick.
Along with our guest.
Thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Yeah, bro. You reached out to us and you're like, "Want to collab?" I'm like, "Sure, why not?" You know what I mean? It's literally just whatever. Like I think I said this to you when we were like chatting a little bit, but Pedro and I literally just started this a year ago. We were kind of just doing it for fun, so we never really we kind of just had our mindset of like we'll just do it and see what happens. And like the friends that we've made along the way just from this past year has been like crazy. And like, I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but you're like, I feel like you're a close friend of ours now. So, and you live like literally, I would say like next door. I mean, Lancaster, Philadelphia.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm planning on. Have y'all heard of Shady Maple?
Yeah. That's like 20 minutes.
Yo, we should.
We
should. I love Shady Maple.
It's like 20 minutes away from us.
Perfect. I'll send y'all my number and we'll make it happen.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
But
thank you so much for having us. Is there anything else anything you want to leave off with? You can share your handles. Go for it.
Oh yeah. Follow me on social media. Like I'm on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Just type in Avatar.Slang. Avatar, like the blue people or the airbender. Avatar.Slang. SLANG.
There you have it.
And there you go. And you'll find him everywhere. If you don't follow him, we're going to come after you. We're going to find you. And we're going to make sure that you find him. You follow him. If not, we know people. We know people. We will hack your account. Pedro's a hacker.
Yeah. Okay.
But thank you guys for joining us on this episode of the Leisure Hub Podcast. Join us next time for whatever episode that is, because we're completely random.